Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, and presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here, listening in, as we are going to give our instant reactions to the college football playoff top 25 and also take a look at the updated FanDuel odds of the top 25 college football teams with the best odds to make the college football playoffs. Zach is here with me once again, and Zach, I don't know if your household was impacted, but for the very first time tonight, my household was impacted by the loss of ESPN and ABC and Disney on YouTube TV. It was a tragic night, and we're still recovering here at the JR household.
My condolences. I'm sorry that the mouse continues to be greedy.
Yes, yeah. My wife went to go watch Dancing with the Stars, and when she turned on YouTube TV, turns out I said, honey, sorry, no ABC, no ESPN, no Disney. And she said, oh, no problem, I'll just go watch it on Disney Plus. I said, oh, okay. I'm glad this is working out for you. We have Disney Plus for the kids, and you can watch it there. Well, she watched it for about 5 minutes, and then Disney Plus crashed.
Man, that's
things are going very well for ESPN and Disney and everybody right now. Their apps are crashing, their pets' heads are falling off.
Do you know how many kids are probably just crying so hard right now because they can't watch Bluey?
Yeah, well, Bluey's on YouTube. They'll be fine.
Yeah, that's
YouTube.
That's fair.
Unless they take Bluey off of YouTube altogether, which if they start taking stuff off YouTube, Zach, we might have some legitimate riots.
I don't know. I don't know who is more to blame, if it's YouTube or Disney. But it's like, guys, figure it out, and also give your subscribers their money back.
Yeah.
This is not okay. I'm a YouTube TV subscriber. I'm pretty sure I'm going to switch.
They are going to give you a $20 credit for every month. YouTube TV is.
$20 out of 90? What is this?
Well, I think ESPN takes... Anyway, we don't need to talk about it all. There was an awful announcing article that said sources say that ESPN takes $15 from every YouTube TV subscriber for them or something like that. So I guess if you work it out that way, it works. But anyway, we don't need to get into all that. We appreciate you being here as we are going to get into all that is going on with the college football playoff rankings. Let's see who's here with us. Max says Big Ten Bird War, Oregon versus Iowa should become a trophy game series, maybe the Bird Bowl. I like the idea, Zach.
I think that, you know what the trophy could be? It could be not cast iron, but a golden or silver not shrine, but statue of the Oregon Duck and the Iowa Hawk, on a thing. I don't know how to describe these things, but
they do have two very good mascots, so it's a great suggestion. John says, okay, my take: BYU 5, Ole Miss 6, Oregon 7, Georgia 8, Texas Tech 9, Notre Dame 10, Oklahoma, and then Texas. I don't hate it, John. I would say that the head-to-heads probably come into play there a little bit, and I do think the committee tries to honor those a little bit more. And then he says Memphis at 25. That I can get on board with. Memphis at 25. I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I think Texas has to be above Oklahoma. I think it's a joke that they're behind them in the AP poll. Texas beat them by 17. There wasn't close.
Yeah. Max says, "I'm sorry for your loss, JR. My condolences. Thank you, Max. We're very brokenhearted here." And Brenton thrown in the Signetti not super sticker, but the sticker that we have, the emojis. Appreciate that. And Philip says Tennessee ranked as a crock of. Zach and I were just talking about before we came on here that if you're going to put a 3-loss team in, the 3-loss team needs to be Illinois. I personally would have put Memphis there at 25, but for whatever reason, the committee was like, let's just rile them up a little bit more.
It should be Illinois. Illinois has a ranked win. They've lost to 3 ranked teams. What has Tennessee done?
They beat ranked teams, number 1 and number 2 team in the nation, consensus.
Right.
And
then they lost to
Washington.
Yeah. And they lost to Washington on the road.
Yeah.
So
All right,
like,
a lot of other people here. Billy, howdy y'all. Appreciate you being here, Billy. David is here with us again. Appreciate you being here. He says Oregon is third best in the Big 12. Yeah, that was really interesting to me. Let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, so Zach, we have the college football playoff top 25. They released here Tuesday night. If you did not see it, I will go ahead and read it off for you, and then Zach can give his initial thoughts. So Ohio State stays at number one. The top five actually does not change at all. Kind of like I talked about, the AP poll is what it is, and the college football playoff just says copy paste. That looks good. We might change one or two teams, but for everybody that says the AP poll doesn't matter, yes, it does, because the college football playoff will just take the pretty much the exact same top 10, a few minor little differences here and there, and say same thing. All right, I said I was going to read it, and then I just gave my opinion. Ohio State number one, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia number six, Ole Miss. Oregon drops as BYU is number seven, Texas Tech at eight, Oregon, Notre Dame. Texas jumps up over Oklahoma from what the AP poll has, as Texas is number 11, followed by Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia, Louisville. As we talked about before, Virginia would be right above Louisville. And then at 16, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Miami, USC, Iowa. And then at number 21, Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Pitt, Tennessee. Zach, your initial thoughts when you saw these?
yeah, it's I think a lot better than the AP poll. For one, like you have both Iowa and Washington in. I think that matters. And I think it matters that they're both above Tennessee. Now, I don't think Tennessee should be ranked. We'll get to that in a minute. But good on the committee for recognizing Iowa and Washington, which has not been what either the AP poll or the coaches have been able to do this year. So good on them for that. I think second, good on them for keeping Ohio State and Indiana above Texas A&M. I heard a lot of people saying, "Well, Texas A&M has a better resume than Ohio State and Indiana." Looking at this and looking at all the other metrics, they don't. Texas A&M has one ranked win, and that's Notre Dame, which probably should have been a loss. Now, granted, it was on the road, good for them, but that's it. Ohio State has wins over Texas, who is one spot below Notre Dame, and they have a win at Washington, and then Indiana has a win at Oregon and against Illinois, who's not ranked but probably should be. So I think it was good by them. They didn't succumb to any SEC pressure. I thought that was really good. Texas above Oklahoma, I think made sense. I thought they ranked the ACC glut fairly well, although I have questions about Miami. So I thought they did a lot of good things well. And I think you have to give credit that they didn't just give in to groupthink. That, and like, there was a lot of pressure, I think, to rank Ohio State not one. And I think some pressure to rank Indiana not two. And they didn't give into that. So I give them credit for that. I have some negative thoughts, but I'd love to hear your reaction first.
Yeah, mine are pretty much all negative. I don't like it. I think that they just basically copy and pasted the AP poll. I think that the AP poll was flawed from the beginning with a lot of their issues. I think Georgia is far too high at number five. I don't understand how you can beat teams like Florida, be in close games against Auburn, basically win games at the end by terrible officiating decisions, which I understand they're just looking at the win-loss record, but still, that has to take into account. And you can say, well, Ole Miss deserves to be up there too. But do they really? What has Ole Miss really done to be up there at number
Mhm.
six? I understand they beat Oklahoma, but when you go to the SEC, it's just a constant cycle of what have they done until eventually you get back to the preseason poll and you say, oh, it's because the preseason poll had them very high at the beginning and they're just doing that. So if the college football playoff had a spine and actually wanted to come out here and do anything significant with their rankings, as they always try to make it up, and I hear every single year, oh, well, we'll see what happens when the college football playoff rankings come out. They're going to come out. We'll see what happens. Well, what happened? Oregon dropped two spots below two Big 12 teams. Apparently, Oregon would be third in the Big 12. I completely agree with David. I, I do not think Oregon will be third in the Big 12. I think that Oregon is a really good team this season, and if they win enough games here down at the end of the stretch, I think they're a national playoff contender. I don't think Georgia's a national playoff contender. I don't think Ole Miss is a national playoff contender. I don't think BYU is. I think Texas Tech is. Texas Tech, if anything, probably should be ahead of BYU because their one loss was without their starting quarterback. So if you want to play that game. If you don't want to play that game, then Oklahoma should be far, far lower. So I don't think there's a whole lot of consistency there with that. I think that even though I'm not a huge fan of Virginia, I still think it's pretty crazy that you have all these one loss ACC teams and they're behind all these two-loss teams: Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah. Apparently they're behind those teams, and I also think USC is getting disrespected down there at 19. I think USC needs to be higher as well. You're going to tell me that Virginia is going to beat USC in a neutral field? If you want to put Virginia 14, okay, that's fine. I can get away with that. But you're really going to put them 5 spots higher than USC? Really? You think that's going to happen? Maybe if they played on the road in Canada, maybe USC would lose that game. But I tend not to think so. And I think if you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to teams like Oklahoma, Texas, and Notre Dame, you have to do so with USC as well. Because guess who Notre Dame's best win is, Zach?
USC.
USC. Who is Illinois' best win? And I get laughed at every time I bring it up.
USC.
USC. Exactly. So,
Yeah. Well,
but heaven forbid we put a team with one more loss that has the same best win as Notre Dame in the top 25. Let's put the team Tennessee in there at number 25, who hasn't beaten a team with a pulse. All right. So I get what you're saying, Zach, about some of the positives and stuff like that, and I see that. But when I see them just basically copy and paste the AP poll, I'm like, why did we even care about this? They basically just re-released their own AP poll with a few little minor differences here and there, essentially fixing the head-to-heads.
I don't know if I agree. So you might push back heavily on this. I don't have a problem with Oregon at 9. And part of the reason is if we're going to criticize Georgia's schedule and Ole Miss's schedule and what they've accomplished, you really have to be honest about Oregon's schedule. What exactly have they done?
That's fine if they're going to do the same thing to Georgia. We're saying it, and I would hold to it if they want to move Georgia down. I'm saying you can't have Georgia at number 5 and then also say, but Oregon is 9th. Like, there's just no consistency in that.
I disagree. Like Georgia beat Ole Miss, and like we may not love Ole Miss.
Again, who is Ole Miss beat?
But again, at some point you have to honor that they all have one loss, and Georgia has beaten a one-loss team. Oregon's best, like who is Oregon's best win? Like Ole Miss has beaten Oklahoma. Like, and I know, like we can say that Oklahoma's no good, but they beat Michigan. So I'm just gonna push a little bit on that.
They also beat Michigan when Michigan was on the road, their second game of the year with a true freshman starting quarterback. So if we're gonna play this game with like your starting quarterback was hurt, and we're gonna play this game of like you're a different team in week 1 than you were in the other week.
Right, but
I'm just saying there's no consistency in my mind.
I would argue, how do you be consistent? Like, I think if you're going to go down the line and say, all right, these teams have one loss, which one's the best? I just don't know. Again, like I'm looking at Georgia's schedule right now. Like we both think that Tennessee is not great, but they did get a win at Tennessee. That's a 6-win team. They lost by 3 against Alabama. They beat Ole Miss. Like they are a 8-1 team. Like if you go over to Oregon, like this is my issue, and this has been my issue with Oregon, is if you look at their schedule, it's really bad.
But if
it's not their fault.
But if you take out the inconsistency of Georgia's schedule, then Georgia's schedule looks pretty bad as well, especially considering how many of these games were close. Oregon beat Penn State, who was number 3 at the time when they beat them. So we're going to give Oklahoma credit because they beat Michigan when they were what, number 15 at the time, for beating
But,
them
but
at home
Michigan's still ranked.
at
Like
number
Penn State's
21.
falling off a cliff.
No, but I'm saying at the time though, and we're also going to give Georgia credit for beating Tennessee at number 15 when Tennessee hasn't beat anybody.
That's not how I would rank it. I'm saying that look, if they're valuing Tennessee at 25, which I disagree with, but if that's how they're valuing it, then I give them props for saying, hey, Georgia's beaten number 25 Tennessee. They've beaten number 6 Ole Miss. Like I'm just saying I don't hate Georgia at 5 and Oregon at 9.
But I'm saying that all of this derives from the AP poll. None of this ever derived from their own internal, like we think this team this place, this team that place. All this derives from the AP poll, so it's all just a copy and paste of the AP poll. Because Ole Miss hasn't beat anybody other than Oklahoma, who, beat Michigan early on in the season when Michigan was on the road with a true freshman quarterback. And we're going to elevate Oklahoma up all these spots. Like because if you look at that with context, then okay, Michigan was not a great team at that point in time. Yes, they beat Nebraska, but Nebraska is also a team that lost to Minnesota, 24-6, because that's the biggest thing with Nebraska, right? Nobody wants to say Nebraska's any good because they lost to Minnesota on the road 24-6. So all I'm saying is that they're just working based off what the AP poll said and did. And I personally don't think they should just work off the AP poll. I think they should be evaluating teams, making things, making their own judgments and evaluations the entire year, disregard the AP poll. But then when this comes out, it's just, well, we'll move Oregon down to 9. Well, we'll move this person up, this team up against this other team because they have a head-to-head win, and we don't think they're going to honor that. But that Miami's win over Notre Dame early in the season doesn't matter. But Oklahoma's win over Michigan in the season, that does matter.
I think it's more
a whole lot of inconsistencies in my
opinion.
opinion.
Okay, but to be fair, you and I have both done top 25s all year except this past week. And I'm not saying you should just take the AP poll and copy and paste. And I disagree. I don't think they did that. I think you can make the argument they did that for the top 5. But I think the fact that they took risks with putting Texas Tech and BYU over Oregon, I don't know if I agree with that, but I can understand it.
I thought you said you agreed with it.
I agree that they should be lower. That's where I really agree. I'm not. I probably would have put them 8th.
Okay. All right. I can't look at the college football playoff and committee and say you basically just did what the AP poll did. They had 2 changes with the rankings, and it was with one team in Oregon. You fixed the head-to-head, with Texas and Oklahoma. Yeah, and you threw Iowa and Pitt in there, and you took Memphis out. So,
let me ask, what would be 2 changes that you would make that would make this less copy and paste from the AP poll?
What would I have done?
Yeah, or what do you think they should have done? Like, what 2 changes would you make to say this is what you should have done in ignoring the AP poll and doing your own thing?
I would have moved Oregon up to 5. I would have moved Louisville into the top. Louisville and Virginia, I would have moved up above Texas and Oklahoma. Notre Dame, I would have moved down behind Texas and Oklahoma. I would have had Vanderbilt be behind Iowa. I would have moved Missouri and Tennessee all the way out, and I would have put Illinois and Memphis in. But this is just based off theirs.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if I agree with many of those. And I'm not trying to come after you. I think it's hard. And I think if you're gonna, as someone said it in the chat, like if we're talking about Oregon, their best win's Northwestern. And I like Northwestern, but that's their best win. It's really hard like just from win-loss record, it's
Uh,
hard.
okay. I just don't think you completely ignore Penn State because I think Penn State was a really good team at the time. I think Penn State is still a team with a lot of talent. I'm not saying that Oregon is like, a juggernaut or anything like that, but I think we've seen. I don't think we see teams move down when their other opponents don't do well, but I think we've seen Oregon have their narrative and like their thought process move down because Penn State wasn't as good. And also, I don't think Northwestern's a bad team. Like it's at Northwestern, I don't think Northwestern sucks. Everybody else wants to say, "Oh, Northwestern sucks." They run the ball really well. Yeah,
I'm
Preston
not.
Stone sucks.
I'm not
I know
saying.
you're not saying. I know you're
I'm
not
not
saying
saying
it.
that they suck. I'm just saying. Sorry, I cut you off.
I know you're fine. I just like I this whole idea of like, well, it's just Northwestern that they beat. Like, is Northwestern really that much worse of a team than Mississippi State? Are they really that much worse of a team than
No.
Arkansas? Because those are the wins that's propping Tennessee up right now.
Yeah, and I. But Tennessee's 20. To be fair, Tennessee's 25, not 9. We're not. We're
Right.
not
They also have
arguing
3 losses
Tennessee for
though.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
also have 3 losses though.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I would point it more to like Georgia, right? Is Northwestern really all that much worse than Florida, Kentucky, Auburn?
No. 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 No.
Is Northwestern really like I I will concede Northwestern is worse than Tennessee. Are they really that much worse than Tennessee?
I don't know. And I think that's part of the
They're not
problem.
as talented as Tennessee. I'll give people
Yeah.
that. But
So I think part of the problem, and this is where I really like, I really agree with CFB nerds. I've been frustrated with them, but one of the things that I do agree with them is because of expansion, it's really hard to know like who is good because you have so much scheduled diversity within your conference. So like Georgia has played a bunch of SEC teams that other teams have not played. And so I think there's just a lot of unknowns. Like Oregon they couldn't control who they scheduled. Like they scheduled Oklahoma State and Oregon State. And like 2 years ago those teams were ranked. This year they just suck. Right? You can't control that. Penn State was supposed to be a wagon this year. They fell off a cliff. So it stinks because I think it's hard to figure out who Oregon is. And I would argue it's hard to figure out who Georgia is. But I can understand with the limited data set why you would put Georgia at 5 and Oregon at 9. But
well,
but I
I
also
will
understand where you're coming from.
I will concede if you and I agree on this. How about that? And then we'll move on to playoff odds.
Yeah.
If Oregon beats Iowa, do you rank Oregon above Georgia? Iowa is ranked above Tennessee. It's at
Mhm.
Iowa, same as at Tennessee. If Oregon beats Iowa, do you vault them up over
At
Georgia?
Iowa. I think it depends how the game plays out. It also depends on
Georgia also went to overtime though and won with a field goal at the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, yeah.
Very little
I
defense in that
it,
game.
it would make me strongly consider it. I wouldn't say yes, yay or nay.
What win margin would Oregon have to have for you to say no doubt?
Just I think probably enough game control. Like it's not doesn't have to be a blowout, but it's like, oh yeah, Oregon's an elite team. Like that kind of a thing where it's like Iowa's good, they're a top 25 team, and Oregon comes out and just controls the game. So like if it's 31-17, but like it's 31-10 in the third quarter, like I think that type of a win, because that shows you, okay, they're dominant against a good team.
Okay. What win has Georgia had this season that looked like that? Because they beat Austin Peay 28-6. They beat Kentucky 35-14, but Kentucky's no good. They beat Auburn 20-10. Auburn should have won that game if it wasn't for bad officiating. They beat Florida 24-20. Florida should have had an opportunity to win that game
Yeah,
if
Florida
he
should have
would have
won
called
that
the
game.
catch. if they would have called the catch correctly. So
Yeah.
I'm just using you kind of as an example here. I'm not trying to come at you. I all I am trying to do in this situation is say, okay, if we want to say Oregon is 9, that's fine. Okay, I don't like it, but I can be fine with it as long as if Oregon beats Iowa, or Oregon will already move up because BYU and Texas Tech, one of them's going to lose. But they'll already move up. But if Oregon beats Iowa by say 2 scores, okay? It's
Yeah.
30 to 20, just give them the Indiana score there. If Oregon beats Iowa and they only move up to 7, then I throw my hands in the air. I say, what can the Big Ten do? Because Oregon, their worst game outside of Indiana was winning 21-7 against Wisconsin, a game where they looked, not super dominant in the first half, but dominated the second half.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what happened in that Kentucky game. And you can say Kentucky and Wisconsin are kind of the same. And then outside of that, they dominated every single team they've played. And they've played more Power 4
That's
teams than Georgia has.
that's fair. So Alana Bubba had the upper hand in the debate. Thank you. Until I waffle on the Iowa game. There's a reason why I'm waffling on the Iowa game. It's because I
You're
believe
picking Iowa to win.
yes.
Okay,
Spoiler alert. I am. And this is why I would say Oregon at 8th or 9th. I don't believe in them. Not right
Okay.
now. I don't believe it. Here's the thing. Maybe this will help. I don't believe in any team 5 through 9.
Like you don't believe in them to win a national championship?
Yeah, I think they're all mid right now. Like I think BYU is undefeated. I think Texas Tech might be a wagon. Like legit.
Texas Tech is the only one because I do think they have the talent with what they paid for that roster, as long as their talent evaluations were correct.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, I think, probably could. And then Oregon, I think if they show out at the rest of their schedule, I think they could. But I will say undecided on them. I am decided that Georgia will not win the national championship.
Yes.
I am decided that Ole Miss will not. I am decided that BYU will not. I'm decided that Notre Dame will not. I'm decided that Alabama will not. Really, to me right now, the only teams that can win the national championship are Ohio State, Indiana, maybe Texas A&M, and then I'm undecided on Texas Tech and Oregon.
My one addendum, and I was talking to our good friend Yankee about this. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and Oregon all have opportunities to ascend because of the talent profile. Right?
Yep.
But we haven't seen it yet. And I think that's honestly my problem with this whole debate. And it's not you, it's like debating on Twitter, like who should be 5 through 9. It's like, man, I don't know, throw a dart and so that's my part of my struggle in this too, is I don't believe
my point on that would be then, and I think we can agree on that. My point on that would be then, if anybody wants to argue 5 through 9, a different order, then it's like, I might not agree, but I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be the reaction. If anybody puts Oregon up at, 5, then people should say, if I don't agree with that, they should say, I don't agree with it, but I can see it. I don't think that's when you're going to get from the SEC shells, though. You're gonna get, oh no, that's never going to happen. My last thing, and then we'll go to the playoffs. I want to get your opinion on this. If Iowa beats Oregon, because this is my other big thing with Oregon being that low.
Mm-hmm.
If Iowa beats Oregon, should Iowa be above Texas? Should Iowa be above Notre Dame? Because I think they should be above Notre Dame if they beat Oregon. Better win than Oregon? It'd be better win than Notre Dame?
It'd be a better win than either of those teams would have at this point. Certainly Notre Dame, right?
Yes. Yeah, certainly Notre Dame.
Sorry, I just saw Philip's comment.
No, to me, the only thing propping up Texas right now is preseason ranking, number 1, and the Oklahoma win, which we don't want to ding Oklahoma too much because their starting quarterback was hurt, but we want to give Texas a lot of credit, even though Oklahoma's starting quarterback was hurt. So,
although, hold on. So here's going to be a problem. Although Texas has a bye this week. At least next week, I think Iowa should vault into the top 12, maybe the top 10, if they beat Oregon. Problem is, Texas has at Georgia and home against Texas A&M. And I think that will probably vault Texas back up. Notre Dame has like nobody left on the schedule. Notre
Yeah,
Dame,
I saw a graphic on social media that was like Notre Dame's a lock to get in. I'm like, no, they're not. Right now, they are the last team in with an at-large bid. If
yeah.
Iowa beats Georgia, Iowa should be number 9, in my opinion.
Mhm.
If Texas beats Georgia, Texas should be above Notre Dame, in my opinion. Yes, you have Texas Tech or BYU moving down, but you have other teams with the opportunity to move up there, you know?
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why Louisville, well, I shouldn't say I don't understand, it's because of Virginia, but I still don't think that Louisville should be that far away from Notre Dame.
Yeah. I
So,
think I'll just say one other thing. Sorry. I think Oregon has a chance to really prove themselves over the next few weeks. Because
oh
like
yeah,
at
yeah. This
Iowa,
is this is the
like
part of
if
their
they
schedule where they'll get their best
yeah,
win. Yeah.
Iowa, USC, and Washington, like they could rack up top 25 wins and like reestablish themselves as I think they could get up to number 4, especially if Texas A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State hold serve till the conference championship weekend. I think Oregon could, at least 5, if not 4.
Mm-hmm. All right, here are the college football playoff top 25 odds to make the playoff. Now, before you yell at me, Ohio State and Indiana do not currently have odds to make the playoff because they are both considered to be locks at this point. So that's why they do not have odds. But outside of them, it looks like Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, and Oregon all have favored odds to make the college football playoffs on FanDuel, and that kind of coincides with what we saw on the rankings there. The only team that is not there that was in the stuff before was BYU. BYU
Mhm.
is not favored. Texas Tech is favored over them. If that gives you any indication of what Vegas thinks will happen in that situation. So Notre Dame vaulted up a lot higher. Obviously, they have a very easy schedule to end the season, and they were there. And then following them, you have Louisville, BYU, Texas at number 15. You have USF, James Madison, Bob Chesney. Kirk Cinetti's
There
old
you
stomping
go.
grounds. Kirk Cinetti. Georgia
Hmm.
Tech, Vanderbilt, North Texas at number 20, or apologize, 16. You have, no, what am I doing? Yeah, 16. Florida, Miami, Florida. Gosh, I'm terrible here. Utah, Oklahoma, Memphis, Virginia, and then number 21 on down, you have the Big Ten, really the Big Ten huddle right there.
Yeah.
USC, Michigan, Washington, Iowa, and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Copyright that name, so no, the Big Ten can't take it.
Yeah. Was this the most intense debate that we've ever had?
Yeah, probably. And
And
look
we're
at
still
us,
friends.
we've come out still friends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Does the Big Ten get 4 teams in the playoffs, Zach? Can you see a scenario where that happens?
I don't know. I think the fact that this is the problem with Oregon being 9
Yep.
is I think Oregon can still get in at 10-2 because they have a lot of opportunities. But I was gonna say like it's gonna be dicey. And I just don't know. Like even like I think Michigan has a pathway because if they beat Ohio State, they'll be 10-2 with a win over the number 1 team in the country. But that's a very slim pathway, right? And I mean, we both are on record. We're picking Michigan to win because we're Buckeyes that our hearts have been broken. Um, Iowa has a legit chance because they play home against Oregon and then at USC and at Nebraska. And like, I think they'll get credit for that. But again, they've got to be perfect, right? Um, with Washington, man, Washington, their schedule just sucks until they get to Oregon, and they're only 23. I think that it kills them. And USC has a chance, like home against Iowa at Oregon, but I think it's dicey. I don't know if there's a ton of pathways.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you're going to see either Oregon, USC, Michigan, Washington, or well, I shouldn't put Michigan in there. Washington or Iowa get in there. I do think, though, even if Michigan beats Ohio State based off these rankings, not these playoff odds, based off these rankings that I'll bring back up here, even if Michigan beats Ohio State, I don't think it's a given that Michigan gets into the college football playoffs
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
because it looks like head to head, they're not going to put Michigan above Oklahoma.
Yeah, but I mean, if they
So
are
Michigan's win would be
able,
at home and not on the road.
but there's a possibility that if Michigan beats Ohio State, Michigan might get a tiebreaker to get to the Big Ten championship game, and that could matter.
Maybe. I mean, they didn't change the losers of the championship games last year? Did they change the winners?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because SMU played Penn State as the 10 seed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Clemson was the 11 seed.
Mm-hmm.
They played number 5 Texas. So they didn't move up Clemson.
Well, Clemson wasn't in. I think Clemson was like 16th or something.
Or 12.
Before.
They were the 12th seed, sorry, because they played
Yeah.
number 5.
Yeah.
SMU was the 11 seed.
Yeah, hold on. Let me do some research here.
All I'm saying is I think going into this, we had the preconceived notion that if Michigan beats Ohio State, they get into the playoffs. I still think that probably happens, but I don't think it's a given. You would still need some help.
Given.
Yeah, you still need some help of other teams ahead of you losing. Like you would need for Oklahoma to lose. You would need for Texas to lose. I think you might need BYU or Texas Tech to lose another game. You might not be able to get up over them depending on how low they strike one of them for losing when they play each other. So, Michigan, obviously, they're going to continue to move up as they win because other teams will lose, but I don't think it's a given that they just vault over Oklahoma or Texas, even though, Miami has 2 losses and they're fine being eight slots, lower than Notre Dame from what it looks like here.
Yeah.
In most scenarios, they're not basing it on who won the head to head as much as who has more momentum right now than the other team.
Yeah. But Miami's out. Like they're done. They've got. I don't know if they have a shot.
They don't have anybody left on their schedule to really get in there, do they?
I don't think so.
Say their only hope was Notre Dame. Yeah, they have Syracuse, NC State, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt. Maybe at Pitt could help them.
Yeah, but they have no. They would need chaos to happen. Like there's 6 teams in front of them in the ACC standings to get in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah. Really difficult. Really difficult. Oh boy. All right. Well, give everybody one more look at the playoff odds. I do think it's funny that James Madison is up there because they could win the Sun Belt and get in possibly, but we really just don't know what it's going to look like with the odds. I think I heard somebody say that the committee said that Memphis was the highest G5 team they had ranked, but Memphis is all the way down there at 19 in the playoff odds. So kind of far out of it. Can tell they are not believers in Oklahoma. At least the playoff odds aren't. And then, yeah, very interesting stuff. All right, anything else on the playoff stuff, Zach?
No.
So, all right. Let's move on. We're going to get into the second part of the show now as we end this portion of the podcast. If you're listening on podcast, we appreciate you being here. If you're here with us on YouTube, please do stick around as we are going to get into our previews and picks for the week 11 of Big Ten football. Go ahead and stick around as we'll be right back. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We appreciate you being here as we are presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We are talking through the Big Ten games in Week 11. We just got the college football playoff rankings last night, so we are going to get into what does it look like for some of these teams that are fighting for these playoff spots and go into who could win, who could not. Well, not who could not, but who do we think will win and who do we think not will win with our previews and predictions for every single Big Ten game in Week 11 as usual. Zach, appreciate you being here.
Excited to be here. I'm
All right.
excited probably to not debate as much as the last episode. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people like it when we debate. So
Let me get my boxing gloves.
we'll have fun with it. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk through these Big Ten games as we start it all off. So the way we're going to do this with all these games and everything now, and us doing like a double episode on YouTube now, so that we do not go 2.5 hours. I know Philip would love that if we went 2, 3, 5 hours or anything, but so that we do save some time and we don't make the podcast quite as long, we're going to talk through 4 games kind of in one bundle, and then we're going to get to 3 Big Ten games that I think are a little bit more interesting and that I want to turn into singular videos. So the 4 games that we're going to talk about with not as many implications, but definitely some storylines and stuff that we still want to talk about. Ohio State at Purdue. Ohio State is favored in that one by 29.5. Washington at Wisconsin. Washington is favored in that by 11.5. Maryland at Rutgers. Rutgers is favored by 1.5. And then Nebraska at UCLA. UCLA is favored by 1.5. Zach, where would you like to start with these 4?
I mean, can we get the massacre out of the way?
Okay.
Ohio State's going to win 45-0 over Purdue. No analysis needed.
You
They're
don't
just
think
better.
you don't think Purdue showed a little something? You're really down on Purdue in the Michigan game.
No, I just think I think Ohio State's going to want to continue to work on the passing game, opening up their offense. I think they're going to want to find ways to get the running game going and get explosives on the ground. And I just don't think Purdue has the right guys to be able to do much against Ohio State. And when we've seen overmatched teams against Ohio State, they do nothing. So
Yeah.
it's nothing against Purdue. I just think Ohio State's a wagon.
Yeah. Ohio State and Indiana are the 2 probably best, teams to go for to cover really pretty much every single week in the Big Ten right now. And I don't disagree with you. I think Ohio State's going to handle Purdue. I do think there's a possibility, them slowing things down a little bit. Maybe you see some less possessions. And so maybe they don't score quite as much. But I don't see Purdue stopping Ohio State on 2 separate drives. The run defense could help them a little bit, but Devin Mockabee was also just announced he is completely out for the rest of the season. So their offense did take a hit there. Malachi Singleton and Malachi Thomas have been playing a little bit better, and they've been utilizing Malachi Singleton a little bit more, but I don't think either of those guys have freaky enough player athleticism to really challenge the Ohio State defense, in my opinion.
Not enough specimens.
Not enough specimens. That is correct. So what's your score for this game then?
45-0.
45-0. I have this one 35-3. I think Purdue gets a field goal. Whether it's special teams gets them someplace or something. I mean, Ohio State has allowed in some of these shutouts to, let teams have an opportunity. Wisconsin could have got a field goal in that game, but they didn't get it. So.
It's because of a really bad fake punt that they allowed. And I'm pretty sure Ryan Day might fire everybody if that happens again. He was not happy. Oh my gosh. I think he was going to blow a gasket after that.
No, I agree. What do you think about Maryland and Rutgers? Rutgers favored by 1.5 here. I was kind of surprised to see Rutgers favored, but it is home for Rutgers, and Maryland's going on the road.
If you had asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have been like, I think Maryland gets this easy. I had a hard time picking this one because I do think, as good as I think Maryland's specimens are, I was alarmed at how poorly they played last week against Indiana. Now, Indiana's doing that to everybody, and I wonder how Maryland's going to respond. Rutgers is they beat Purdue. Good for them. They barely beat Purdue. And I just don't know if they have enough juice, especially defensively, to keep Malik Washington in check. So I do have Maryland winning, but I struggled a bit more than I expected to in who I thought. So I've got Maryland 31-24.
Yeah, I think I would be surprised if Rutgers scores more than 30 or more than 20 points in this game. Maryland's defense is too good. I think they're going to turn Ethan Kaliakmanis over. And I know we have Rutgers fans that watch the show, so I'm not trying to disrespect Rutgers here, guys, but Rutgers has not been good in the red zone. If they were going to have an opportunity to score a little bit more, it was last week against Illinois, and they really only put up 6 points in that game. They had, kind of a garbage time touchdown there at the end that helped them, but this this Rutgers offense looks like it's regressing. It's not looking as good. The offensive line is struggling more. And I think Ethan Kaliakmanis is, he's a fine quarterback. I, kind of got some flack from some Rutgers fans when I ranked him 15th in the Big Ten, but I do feel like he is propped up a little bit by some of the wide receiver play. Was impressed with him early on in the season, and then once he started facing better Big Ten competition and better secondaries, things kind of started to go south. As much as I do find him entertaining with some of the throws he throws out there. I just don't think it's always great quarterback play. So with that, I think Maryland wins this game 24-20, and I think a lot of people have a perception of Maryland that, like, oh, they're bad on the road. Maryland's not been bad on the road this season. 27-10 over Wisconsin. 20-17 they lost to UCLA. That's a UCLA team that had an offense that was playing really, really good. Their defense traveled in that game. So I would just say do not sleep too much on Maryland with going on the road or anything.
Yep.
So
Maryland still, I think, has a really good chance to go bowling.
Yeah,
and that would be
they got Rutgers and Michigan State left.
Yeah, and they've got I mean, I expect Illinois and Michigan to beat Maryland, but especially Michigan is inconsistent enough where it could be interesting.
Do we think? I mean, so the Maryland fans were chanting "Fire Loxley" at the end of that Indiana game. Do you think that Maryland comes out a little mentally broken spirited after losing by that much to Indiana?
No.
I do think it's a really good test because the culture's not always been the best at Maryland. And Mike Loxley told us that. I'm not speculating on that. He told us that at Big Ten Media Days.
Well, here's the thing. I think if they are broken and Rutgers wins this game, that's when you start looking for whether this is the end of the road for Loxley.
Yeah, if Rutgers beats Maryland here, I think it's likely that Maryland is firing Mike Loxley. Maybe not after the game, but at the end of the season.
Yeah. And if they lose to Rutgers, I am back on the Fire Loxley train. Yeah. I'm not there yet.
Are they at Michigan State or is it home against Michigan State?
They are at Michigan State.
Okay. Yeah.
Philip, man. Freshman core, like they've done a good job recruiting. If you can keep those guys, you keep them.
It was ever since that podcast you did with Larry.
With Larry,
Larry did give a lot of really good insight on that podcast.
Yeah, and I'm very sympathetic. I'm very sympathetic to what he's been through. But at some point, you have to provide results.
Yeah. I do think though, if they can hold on to players, that Maryland's set up much better for next year with these young players. But we'll see. You want to do Washington, Wisconsin, or Nebraska or UCLA?
Let's do Washington at Wisconsin because I've got a little spicy take on Nebraska at UCLA.
Oh, so you want to start with it, or you want me to start?
We'll start with Washington, Wisconsin.
I'm saying you had a spicy take on the game, so I'm saying, do you want to give that spicy take first, or do you want me to start talking about it and then you'll kind of weave it in?
You can talk. You can start.
Okay. All right. I like that. So Washington favored in this one by 11.5. The over/under odds are at 44.5. And when I first saw that, I thought that was a little low because I thought, well, Wisconsin at home, Washington, could explode a little bit. But we do need to remember Wisconsin, better run defense. They've been getting some better pass rush lately. They've had some linebackers that have been looking pretty good. And what did we see last time Washington was on the road? 3 interceptions by DeMond Williams, only 7 points against Michigan. Now, I am not saying that Wisconsin's defense is Michigan or anything like that. Michigan far better defense.
Mhm.
Even though I did drop them in my power rankings, and I get that. I was, kind of stuck up for him a little bit, and then, had my emotional reaction, which is fine. I'm allowed to have emotional reactions. Uh, Zach stuck it up for him, but I do think that this Washington team a little bit of struggle bus on the road this season. They had a really nice comeback against Maryland late in that game, but they didn't kind of put it all together. I think they're gonna win this game. Like I'm not worried that Washington's gonna lose, but I am concerned that Washington might only put up less than they it would not be crazy to me if Washington comes out and only scores 20 points in
Yeah.
this one, and Wisconsin scores 7 or 10, and it's a bit of a nail biter in the fourth quarter. Not completely, but a bit of a nail biter.
Do we know who's playing quarterback for Wisconsin?
I was listening to a podcast, and they're speculating Danny O'Neil, and the message board didn't seem to know. So
I mean,
I hope it's
unless,
Danny O'Neil.
well, even if it's Danny O'Neil, though, like,
He at least has mobility.
yeah, it's not great mobility though.
That's true.
It's
I'm
like
trying to give him some credit here, Zach.
I I mean, I hate to say it, but like this is the comment that I feel like encapsulates my view of Wisconsin right now.
I will say, I listened to Big Cat on, which very well known Wisconsin insider, Big Cat of Barstool.
Oh
But I
dear.
did listen to him on Andy and Ari's show earlier today, and he did provide a good amount of context for kind of all of it and what's going on there, and so he did alleviate some blame from Fickle, but largely still does not like Fickle, and I don't blame him because it's
Yeah.
not been good.
No, it's not. I I I think the fact that Washington was on a bye, I know Wisconsin was on a bye too, but I just trust Washington. I don't trust Jed Fish as much as I do Damon Williams and that receiving core. And I not that they have the firepower that Ohio State does, but I think between Damon Williams' legs, him a bit able to escape the pocket and throw downfield, I just don't see Wisconsin able to stay with the Huskies. So I've got 27-3.
Yeah.
I don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to move the ball. Go if you look at Wisconsin, what they've accomplished this year or haven't accomplished this year, that's really sadly the reality. I mean, if you look at their schedule and look at what they've done, like they scored 10 against Maryland. They scored they scored 10 against Michigan. They've been shut out twice. They scored 7 against Oregon.
5.4 total points per game in conference play.
I mean, it's just so like it might be like Washington's defense isn't great, but I'm not
They
sure
were, they were
you have.
pretty good against Illinois. I mean, they
Yeah,
got some turnovers and stuff like that. Zach Durfee back. I mean, I agree with you. It's not a great defense, but
it's a good defense.
I
It's
don't
better.
expect Wisconsin to score over 10 on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I do need to address this. Fire Fickle segment, so Zach refuses to fire him next year. Listen, unless if Fickle's around next year, I will be on the Fire Fickle train until he is fired.
There we go.
Or he goes like 10-2. If he goes 10-2, then he can stay. But I'm very much
Um,
on the Fire Fickle
I do
train.
have a stat for you,
Okay, go for it.
and you can guess. What Wisconsin has the lowest amount of total points scored per game of any college football team in their conference. Do you know who the only team above them is? Or not the only team. The team that is right above them is the second to last team in college
Is it
football.
is it Kentucky?
No, it's Washington State.
Oh,
They
I
only
was gonna
played
say,
one conference game where they
oh,
scored 7 points. Do you, do you
that
know?
doesn't count.
Do you know who the other team right above them is?
Kentucky?
Oregon State.
No.
The two teams that have only played one conference game in Washington State and Oregon State. I
I
just saw
feel
that earlier today, and I
I
thought that was
feel
funny.
duped. I feel so duped. Anyway,
you know who is bottom 6. It's not Kentucky. It is in fact Auburn, bottom 6.
oh, that makes sense.
13 points per game
Hey,
in
look, they fired
conference
their
play.
coach, like
Yeah,
Wisconsin should.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Auburn has, Oregon State has. I don't think Washington State has, but
Mhm.
I don't have the head coach firing tracker up completely right now. So yeah, so my prediction is 24-10. I think Washington is going to get out in front early in this one, and then I think that Wisconsin, they don't quit. I mean, they continue to play good run defense for the majority of the game. I do think there's a possibility Washington scores more, later on in the game if Wisconsin, starts getting tired and stuff, and they begin to run on them a little bit more. But I think Washington doesn't score as many points as maybe some people are thinking. And Wisconsin, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say 10.
That's
So
fair. That's
they're
fair.
due.
I'll give you
They're
that.
due.
Both of us have them covering still. So
Yeah. Nebraska at UCLA. Zach, UCLA favored in this one by 1.5. Nebraska does not have Dylan Raiola. Sad situation there. Broken fibula. And I was reading up on kind of the timetable for coming back from a broken fibula. Looks like he is probably not going to be able to really get back to practice and full speed and stuff until next summer.
yeah,
I mean,
it
that's
stinks.
like as much as this sucks for this season, that's also like pretty much a full offseason of development. Like he's not going to be able to lift, he's not going to be able to practice, he's not going to be able to throw with his receivers. Like Dylan Raiola, I thought he was be gone in 3 years, but looks like he might be coming back for a fourth year with losing that kind of development in the
He
offseason.
he needs it too. Like he's been good, but he needs more help. All right, here's my spicy take. It may not actually be that spicy.
Okay.
UCLA is going to win this game.
I mean, they're favored. It's not that spicy.
Oh, you're right. They are favored. I missed that.
Did I write it down on the sheet wrong? Sorry.
No. You didn't.
Okay.
I just didn't read it. There we go. There's my confession.
Yeah.
There's my real spicy take. I don't read the
Over
sheets.
under on FanDuel 43.5. UCLA favored on FanDuel by 1.5. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, my very lukewarm take. As I yawn.
I said it to you right as you were yawning. That was a great hosting there by me. So.
Yeah. I just everything is screaming Nebraska is in trouble. They have to go on the road. They're playing a backup quarterback, probably feeling a bit deflated from the loss to USC. And UCLA has been licking its wounds from their loss to Indiana. UCLA has not played. They have a bye week, or they're off a bye week, and they're at home. I don't love this position for Nebraska, and I think UCLA capitalizes.
I think Emmett Johnson gets it done. I think the defense steps up. I think that they put in some good contain for Nico Iamaleava. I'm not saying he doesn't, run around a lot, but I think the Nebraska secondary is better than we would have thought of. We were kind of giving them their props, but we also said, they haven't really played any good passing offenses or anything like that. Jay Iamaleava had his worst day of the season against this Nebraska secondary, and I know there were some pass interference penalties and stuff like that definitely helped the team out, but I still think that this Nebraska defense can do a good job of keeping a team in a game, and somebody like Emmett Johnson is going to be able to carry this team. I think TJ Lateef, as much as we kind of dogged him for like 5 for 7 for 7 yards and stuff, like this isn't a super difficult offense that's throwing the ball downfield the entire game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is an offense that a backup quarterback can come in to run as long as he has some time to run it. You have the playmakers on the outside. Like I think Nebraska can get this win. I'm going to pick them to win 21-20.
Yeah. I think Nebraska is certainly the better team. I'm more going off feel. So I think every point you made is valid. For me, it's just about feel and position. But
yeah.
I think
I hear what you're saying. So, all right. Let's get to the Friday night game. as
Mm.
USC is favored over Northwestern, 14 and a half on FanDuel. The over-under set at 50 and a half. Northwestern travels to USC. These teams have met 3 times historically. Do you know who leads the series, Zach? I bet you can't guess.
Best USC.
Yeah, USC 3-0 in the series.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one. David Braun in his 2nd season with Northwestern, Lincoln Riley in his 4th season with USC. These 2 head coaches have never faced off in college football history. Zach, what are your thoughts going into this game?
I think USC is going to be 4-0.
Really? You don't believe in Northwestern at all?
I would have more faith if this were at Northwestern. But USC had their bad game and they got it out of their system. And now they're back at home. Northwestern is not ranked. I think that bodes well for USC because they haven't done well in ranked games. But USC, I think they're more explosive. I think they're improving on the lines of scrimmage. And I think Preston Stone, I just think he's a liability that it's going to be hard for them to overcome. And so I don't think it's particularly close. I have USC covering. I've 38-13.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking USC to win by a couple scores in this one as well. I'm not, trying to say that, this is in fact going to be a game that Northwestern wins or anything, but I do think it's a game that when USC wins, or like if they win, because I don't want to disrespect Northwestern, I do think USC should get more credit here than what they are going to get nationally. Like, I know Northwestern does not have a very good quarterback in Preston Stone. He's been underwhelming. He's turned the ball over too much. Had a good stretch there of looking better, but obviously that kind of went away. But Northwestern's also not been terrible on the road this season. They went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and it was 28-21. And you could argue with the penalty there at the end of the game that Northwestern should have still been in that game. They went on the road to Penn State and they won 22-21. We're going to talk about going on the road to Penn State here in a minute, and people are going to talk about how the team going on the road to Penn State is going to maybe have a little bit of a hard time. Listen, Northwestern went on the road when James Franklin was still there, and you could argue that team was a worse of a team than when James Franklin was there. I get that, but I do think Northwestern deserves a little bit of credit here. I know it's cross country; neither of those two were cross country, but I do think Northwestern's going to come with a strong defense, pretty strong defensive line, stronger than people give them credit for, better linebackers than people give them credit for, and a good run game. That if USC, who just lost their starting interior defensive tackle Jamal Jarrett, if they're not careful, I do think that Northwestern could run the ball a little bit in this one and give USC a game.
That's fair.
So I'm going to pick USC to win this one, 31-20. I think USC's offense gets back on track, but I would not be surprised if it's a slow start from USC's offense. A little bit of a slow start. Northwestern kind of gets the best of them, and then in halftime they start to pull away.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else on that one? All right, let's talk about the team going to Happy Valley. It is the Indiana Hoosiers, who are favored by 14.5 on their way to Happy Valley. Over under 49.5 in this one on FanDuel. Zach, this is just me. We do not give out betting advice on this show, and if I do not bet, but if I did bet, I would be hammering for whatever team is playing Penn State to cover for like the rest of the season, because these sports books are not adjusting their models to what Penn State is at this point. Ohio State was only favored by about 20. They kept getting it, having it go down, down, down below 20. I did not understand that. I made the reference that Ohio State could possibly have kind of a game like they did against Michigan last year and lose it, but that obviously didn't happen. Ohio State came out well on that one. And Indiana blows out teams better than Ohio State does. Mm-hmm. And I think Indiana, looking at this, Kirk Cinetti, I know he's probably not paying attention to the odds and stuff like that a ton, but I also think Kirk Cinetti looks at this and says, really? Really? People thought Penn State was good this season? Let's go win by 20. Let's go win by 30.
Yeah.
Indiana's going to win this game.
I said on Sunday, I'm done picking Indiana close. And I am sticking to it. Indiana is going to take whatever will is left from the Nittany Lions, which stinks because I actually, going back and watching some of the highlights, it was clear Penn State was making an effort against Ohio State.
Yeah, they
I
didn't give up. They didn't quit.
No, they didn't quit. They didn't give up. I think they might in this game because I think Indiana is just they are playing so efficiently right now, and I just think it's going to get ugly quick. I have 49-10 Indiana.
I missed a super chat here by Dave, so we have to bring this
Oh
up.
yes,
Sorry. And it's on Northwestern. I would normally wait for it, but it was on Northwestern. We just talked about them. So, sorry, Dave. Dave sent in a $5 super chat. Appreciate you being here, Dave.
yeah. Thanks,
Appreciate
Dave.
the $5 contribution. He says Northwestern for years has always played on the road. I swear, even their home games, there's more away fans. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how it's gone, right? And I think that that's part of why they're building this really, really nice stadium because they are going to try to make it a little bit more enticing. Not just like in football away fans, but for anything for people to come to and to put more money into it. So, I mean, going to Wrigley Field, like to me, that was just one more thing that they did to try and get a little bit more revenue. With people kind of traveling to games and stuff. Honestly, it's not all that much different than the way it was with Indiana. Before 2 years ago, where not to say Indiana like built some big stadium for it, but it was much more likely that away fans came than home fans. But hey, that's changed now. I can tell you, I have driven through Bloomington on game day now. You
Hmm.
cannot find a parking spot, and it's very difficult to get through there. And it's not just because there's a whole bunch of away fans there, but it's because there's a whole bunch of IU fans that are rowdy for their team. So give credit to IU there. But
Mm.
yeah, any thoughts on that, Zach?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right. Appreciate it, Dave. We'll get back to Indiana at Penn State here. Yeah, so I think Indiana. I mean, they hold the advantage in pretty much every aspect of this game. I don't know if there's anything in this one that I think Penn State does better than Indiana. I mean, quarterback Fernando Mendoza obviously better than Grunkmeyer. Wide receiver. I mean, the defensive line. I know Penn State their offensive line was pretty good at times against Ohio State, but the Indiana defensive line and everything. Um, yeah, I'm trying to make this into a bit of a discussion, but it's not much of a discussion, is it, Zach?
No, 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 no. I just
Yeah.
well, again, it's a discussion about efficiency and line play, and the thing about Indiana, like Ohio State's trying to ramp up to something, and you can see that in how they call games. Indiana's like, we are ramped up and we don't care, and they just destroy people. And I don't see how Penn State stops it.
Yeah. I don't see how Penn State does either. I mean, their defense obviously still has talent. The defensive line, but no great linebackers. Like, I mean, Amari Campbell, I shouldn't say that. Like, he's been good this season, but he can't do it all on his own. Secondary is okay, but they were also getting destroyed by, you know,
So
Ohio State. Why couldn't I think of the name? So, yeah, I'm with you. I got Indiana winning this one 42-20. I do think Penn State's going to score a little bit in this one. Katron Allen's probably the best team that this Penn State team, or player, probably the best player this Penn State team has. And that offensive line, they still have some things in them, but it is going to be difficult moving the ball on them. So,
mhm.
so yeah.
Yep, agreed.
All right. Let's move on to the last one here. This is the big game to talk about. Oregon at Iowa, the Bird Bowl, as they were talking about earlier. Oregon favored by 6.5 over Iowa. The over/under set at 41.5. Zach, you've already told us who you have winning this game. Tell us more on your thoughts on the game and why you have Iowa. Thinking Iowa has the favor here. Has the I can't think of words right now. Has the upper hand here.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into the season, I think we thought that the best offensive line might be Oregon and the best defensive line might be Iowa. Like, I think that was a general thought that we had. And I think Oregon's offensive line has been good. Like, I think they've been very good but I don't know if they've been as elite as we thought they would be. They could be. And I think that's what I'm waiting to see with Oregon is do they shift from second gear? And I think Dante Moore is a big part of that. Does he elevate where he hasn't been? But I think the thing that concerns me, if you look at Dante Moore and how he's played, particularly against better teams, he's really struggled. Against Indiana, they really only scored 13 points on offense. He was harassed all day. He threw one pick at the end of the game. Against Penn State, he wasn't great, right? They only scored 17 in regulation. So I have questions about this offense, and they're about to face a team which I'm happy to say I was wrong about, that has maybe the best front seven outside of Ohio State and maybe Indiana in the Big Ten. I mean, they're really good. Aaron Graves is a stud. And they have Max Llewellyn and Ethan Herket on the line. Their linebackers are good. I think their secondary is playing better. And you're going against a quarterback that is making another start on the road and has to deal with a raucous environment, has to deal with the tradition of the children's hospital, which can kind of mess you up because you're like, oh, let me go wave to the really sick kids. Oh, I got to play football. So I don't love the setting, the environment for Oregon. I think Iowa might be the better team at the line of scrimmage. And typically I think the team that's better at the line of scrimmage has an advantage, especially if they're at home. So I like Iowa in this game. I would be happy to be wrong because I think Dan Lanning is a good coach and I think he can get Oregon over the top at some point. I just don't love where they're at right now.
I hear you on Dante Moore has struggled a little bit. I don't think he's struggled in a game outside of the Indiana game. Wisconsin was wet and windy. I don't hold a ton against him in that one. I mean, Penn State, he threw 3 touchdowns. Like I get it was late in the game and stuff like that, but I mean, we also, I mean, we try not to knock players for that, right? Like we try not to knock Justice Haynes for only getting big runs because I think those are narratives that rivals try to use that
Sure.
sound a little bit better. But I think at the end of the day, your production is your production, and that's what you do. So I don't love knocking Dante Moore for that personally. Obviously you can if you want to,
He's
but
good. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm
right,
just saying like there
but
are
I'm saying I
questions.
still think even if we're gonna say that, I still think Oregon has the significant advantage in the passing game over Iowa, right?
So I'm
Like
I'm
Oregon's passing game is significantly better than Iowa's passing game.
oh yeah.
Okay,
Sorry. I saw something in the chat that I was like I misread it. So this is
okay.
the problem with me at night.
Well, the chat's just are arguing about Ohio State and Michigan right now. There's a few score predictions in there we'll get to, but
Oh dear.
so yeah, so they're just all
Stay
arguing about some
focused,
random.
chat. We're talking Oregon and Iowa, and that's gonna be this is gonna be a great game. I'm
This
very
is going to be a
excited for
great
this
game.
game.
I do wonder who has the overall like rushing advantage here in this game because Mark Gronowski obviously is the better running quarterback in this one. Dante Moore has done some nice things with his feet, but he also doesn't have a rushing touchdown on the
Yep.
season. I don't think he's necessarily needed to because you have a stable of running backs there with Whittington, Davison, Deerhill. Like you have a lot of running backs there who can all get it done. Just praise them after the Wisconsin game for their versatility and how many guys they have back there. And I think overall, like to me, that is why I'm gonna pick Oregon in this game, is because I
Mhm.
think Oregon's the more complete team. I agree with you. I think I like Iowa's lines of scrimmage better overall, but it's not by much. And I think I like Iowa's run game maybe a little bit more because of how much more Mark Gronowski does. But what did we see in the Indiana game? Iowa almost beat Indiana. There's some people
Mhm.
arguing that Iowa would have beat Indiana if somebody had stayed healthy the entire time, right?
Yep.
But that's the risk you take when you run your quarterback as much as you do. I'm not predicting Mark Gronowski gets injured, but my picks are generally, not always, but generally who I think is the most sure thing to win. And I think when you look at this matchup, Oregon, I know it's on the road, I know it's in Kinnick. It's also not at night though. It's at 3:30. When you look at this matchup, I think Oregon's the more complete football team. And the things
I
that Iowa is better at, I don't think they're significantly better at.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But I still like the home field advantage. Yeah.
I mean, if I were you, like I seriously thought about picking Iowa in this reason in this game for one reason and one reason only. It's
Mm,
because if Iowa does have a significant advantage someplace, it's run defense. Because Oregon has been run on by teams. Northwestern ran on Oregon pretty well,
yep.
right? Indiana, they if I'm not mistaken, they ran on Oregon pretty well too. So, like to me, that's the biggest question mark. That's the biggest thing in this game. Is not necessarily is Iowa going to get yards. Iowa's going to get yards. They're running the ball against everybody. You know that
Mhm.
offensive line. They're going to get yards. But can Oregon bow up in the most situational best opportunities? Because I don't think Iowa's going to blow Oregon out
Yep.
in this one. It's going to come down to situational opportunities. Does Oregon have the run defense to be able to stop Iowa? They should,
Mhm.
but do they?
Yep. Yeah. I think you make good points.
So let me double check what I was saying about the rush defense really fast, just so that way I don't look dumb. Indiana did only run for 111 yards in that game, and they only rushed for 3 yards per carry, but they did have
Mm.
2 touchdowns. So that kind of takes it away there. Yards aren't everything, but touchdowns also aren't everything. So kind of give and take there. And that was at Northwestern. Penn State ran on Oregon a little bit too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there is a possibility where Iowa just runs out clock and then makes a special team player too that wins them the game.
Well, and that's the other part of this too, right? Is that Oregon has struggled with a couple drop punts this season.
Yep.
So I also think a big thing in this one, and I picked this game. I picked Oregon to win this game. Let me double check my score prediction really fast. I picked Oregon to win this game 21-17. Originally, when I first picked it, I had it like 24-20. But both of these teams have had kickers that have struggled this season. Atticus
Mhm.
Sappington and Drew Evans have not been, or Drew Stevens, sorry, um, have not been great kickers this year. So are these two offenses going to go for it? Or are they going to continue to try and work with their kickers? I don't know. They've not been bad, but it's not been the kicking you expect from Iowa. And Atticus Sappington was much better last year than what we've seen from him this year.
Agreed.
So So yeah, I have Oregon winning this one 21-17. My biggest concern is the run defense for Oregon, but I think in every other area, Oregon is either better or if Iowa is better, they are somewhat better, but not significantly better. I
Mm.
think that Iowa, their passing game has developed, has improved, and they have a threat of the passing game now, which I think is big, but I don't think it's, anything super big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iowa still operates at a low margin of error. And which again, I've said that's my biggest problem with Ferentz. It's why I think he should be fired. But not this season. Not this season. He's having a good year.
If Iowa gets a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown, do they win the game?
Yes. I think special teams is going to be crucial in this game
I
because
think
it'll
so too.
steal a possession. And yeah, if they score one of those touchdowns, I think it's going to be a long day.
Oh, a long day. So like Oregon wins by a couple scores, or Iowa wins by a couple scores.
No, I just think I think Oregon fans will be frustrated.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a really fun game. I think that we're gonna have a lot of fun watching this one. I think the SEC fans won't like it because they don't appreciate running the ball and defense. But overall, for us Big Ten fans, this is gonna be a really nice one to see a new Big Ten team kind of play a Big
Mm.
Ten way. And I think that I guess the other thing I will say is that if Iowa is opportunistic and picks Dante Moore off and he turns it over once or twice, yeah. So. All right. We ready? We ready to get to our SEC upset pick, Zach?
Yeah, just I'm fading fast. I don't know if I'm sure you can tell. Everybody can tell.
All right,
So
let's get to it. You give yours first.
listen, this is why I was also conflicted earlier in the college football playoff rankings because you're like Georgia's 5 and Oregon's 9, and that's not okay. And I'm like, I think they're both gonna lose this week because I have Georgia losing to Mississippi State.
See, I thought about that one, but Georgia's done this multiple times. They've gotten into late close games and they either get the calls or they make the plays at the end to win it.
Yeah, it
I
might
don't
just
know.
be wishful thinking.
I think Georgia's going to have to face. I just picked Florida to do it last week because I have a theory, and I'm going to continue that theory tonight. It has not played out for me yet, but I know I'm going to hit it eventually. So it's like playing the lottery. If
Yeah,
you're not going to really win it all that much, but you need to get there at some point, I suppose. Well, actually, you probably won't win it at some point. So
yeah.
maybe this really is like the lottery because I won't win it, but I'm going to pick LSU to upset Alabama at Alabama.
Whoa, I like that one. I'm awake now.
Okay,
At
there
least
we
for
go.
5 minutes.
So when UCLA fired Deshaun Foster, it was a very close game against Northwestern, and Northwestern did win 17-14. When Penn State fired James Franklin, it was a very close game, and Penn State almost won. Like the next game after that, Penn State almost won at Iowa 25-24. When Arkansas fired Sam Pittman, that was also a very close game. I'm trying to get the score exactly right because I don't want to screw it up. But that was also a very close game where it was 34-31 at Tennessee. The other team that fired their coach, Florida, was another very close game against Georgia, 24-20. Zach, it's gonna hit eventually. It's gonna happen eventually. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know if it's Auburn next week. Do they play next week? Okay, Auburn plays this week. Maybe I should take Auburn instead of LSU. I don't know. But these teams, when they fire their head coach, they get like an interim coach boost. They haven't had the point. They haven't had the opportunity to get the W yet, but it's coming. It's probably going to be Auburn this week that beats Vanderbilt because I've chosen the wrong team here. But and also, did you see on social media the LSU players were like cheering when Brian Kelly got fired?
Okay, I mean
They
the
do not like him.
guy. No, nobody likes him,
No, they don't.
and like he deserved to get fired. Like when Mike Locksley if Mike Locksley gets fired or Fickle gets fired, I will be sad about those. Deserved. Kirk Ferentz, same thing. If he gets fired, deserved.
Ferris is not getting fired. What are you talking about?
If he retires,
I was going to say, we were just talking about Iowa possibly making the playoffs. He's not getting fired.
if he retires, unceremoniously.
You really are sleepy, Zach. We're starting to fire Kirk Ferentz, but not fire Mike Locksley tonight.
I mean, I said if they fire Locksley, listen, if they fire Ryan Day, I would be sad. I'm not sad at all about Brian Kelly. That guy, he killed a kid, like no stop. And then every report out of Baton Rouge has been he mailed it in and did not care, never took ownership, never took leadership, and blamed the players for everything. Good riddance. Like, you do not need to be in college football anymore. I hated that he left Notre Dame the way he did, left those kids in a lurch. There's a reason why they've rallied around Marcus Freeman. And like, it would make me happy to see LSU beat Alabama. I like Kalen DeBoer. I just want to see LSU win so that those players actually can get a win with a good coach.
Who is LSU's interim head coach?
I don't know, but
because the interim head coach for Auburn is DJ Durkin, and he's not much better than Brian Kelly. So.
What are we doing? Why is the SEC corrupt? Stop
Frank
it.
Wilson.
I don't know who that is.
Well, when you said Brian Kelly killed a kid, I was like, And
Yeah, DJ.
Auburn's interim head coach wasn't necessarily as connected, but you know, that was such a sad situation. I kind of feel bad laughing.
Both are so sad. I mean,
But they are very, very sad. Yeah.
they. Uh, I mean, we're not gonna go into the ethics on this,
No, we don't need to. Everybody
but
understands
like
that.
here's. I'll just wrap it up by saying this: Brian Kelly deserved it to get fired. For those players, I hope you're right.
Yeah. I think it would be so funny because I was just hearing the stat this week that like Alabama doesn't lose at home. Alabama's got all these home games. Alabama doesn't lose at home. Well, we also didn't think Alabama loses to Florida State. Here we are. We also didn't think Alabama would lose to, 500 Oklahoma to get to a bowl game for Oklahoma. That was last season, but here we are. So I feel like at some point this Alabama team is going to slip up.
I am still waiting for the Oklahoma game. I still think Alabama, Oklahoma might be where they slip.
Maybe. Or Auburn.
I don't know if Auburn has the defense to. Oklahoma defensively, I think, could really do some damage to Alabama.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see. We'll see if the interim head coach boost will finally hit for one of these SEC or Big Ten teams. I will say, again, I'm not giving betting advice here, but if I was picking this LSU Alabama game, I would definitely take LSU to cover in this one because it's been close games. So even if they don't win, still think it's most likely going to be a close game. So, all right, Zach, you're sleepy. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate everybody in the chat, even our Ohio State and Michigan fans that love to argue away. I have a hard time finding the final scores that people put in there because of all the the back and forth. But it's fun. We will see what happens with Oregon and Iowa, and we'll be back here on Saturday night to do power rankings to talk about it all. Well, will you be back to do power rankings Saturday night?
Nope, I will be on a flight.
Okay. So
I'm leaving on a jet plane, everybody.
So I will be here Saturday night following the Nebraska UCLA game to do power rankings with you guys. And then Sunday night, I will be here as well. I'll see if Jeff can come on. If Jeff can't come on, I'll see if somebody else can come on. And we'll get all of Zach's thoughts after he comes back from his flight.
Mm-hmm. In 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.